Hey guys, Amanda here, and in this video, I will be recapping Bachelor in Paradise Week 6, episodes 11 and 12. So we're back where we left off, and Dean has just come back, and he's come back for Kaylin, and he asks her to leave with him, and everybody's seeing this, and Sydney says, Dean's making moves, money moves. Connor doesn't want to lose Kaylin, things have been going really well. It's an easy choice versus difficult choice, but you know, who wants easy? It won't be easy with Dean. He has things to work on, but he wants to work on them with Kaylin. Kaylin leaves her conversation with Dean. She's like, okay, well, I need to go talk to Connor. First, she walks over to Tayshia, Sydney, Christian, and Demi, and they all give her a hug, and they're like, we know it's a lot. You don't have to tell us anything. So right after that, she goes and finds Connor. Kaylin and Connor go sit down to talk. She tells him what Dean said. Connor does not want her to leave. He wants her to stay. He likes where things are at between them. Dean left you on your birthday. Who says that he won't do something like that again? And he just wants Kaylin to be safe and happy. He doesn't want her to be upset. He tells her the right thing to do is stay with me. We have a good thing going here. I won't hurt you like that. And she agrees. She's like, yeah, you won't hurt me like that. So then we go to Christina and Dean, and Christina asks him, why are you here? Are you here to stay? And he tells her that he's leaving no matter what. Whatever Kaylin's choice is, whether she goes with him or not, he's going to leave. Christina calls him selfish. She says, you run away every time a good thing comes along. And he says, yeah, I know, I do, but I'm trying to fix that. And Christina says it isn't fair to put Kaylin in this position. So after that, Christina leaves her conversation with Dean. She goes back and sits down with everyone else, and she tells him about what Dean told her. So after talking with Connor, Kaylin goes back to speak with Dean, and Connor's pretty sure that Kaylin's going to stay here with him. Dean says, you know, there's a lot of stuff I need to work on, but the only way I can work on it is with somebody, and I want that somebody to be you. And she just says, yeah, but I'm scared. How do I know that you're not going to hurt me again? And he's like, you know, I'm going to try my best not to, but I can't say that I won't. And who knows, maybe Connor could hurt you as well. You don't know that. So in the end, Kaylin decides to leave with Dean, and they're making out on the couch. Everybody can see them, even Connor, and he's really upset about this. He feels really blindsided. After that, Kaylin goes to talk to Connor again. She says it doesn't make any sense, but her heart is being pulled towards Dean. So they hug and they go their separate ways. Then Kaylin tells everyone she's leaving and that she loves them. Christina tells Kaylin, hey, I know we've had our differences, but if something goes down, call me. And who would have thought Demi and Tayshia would cry over Kaylin? I mean, it's true. If you think about it, look back on The Bachelor, they've had a nice friendship journey on Bachelor in Paradise. Dean and Kaylin leave together. They're in the car, and they're talking about their life on the road in his van, and Dean's just like, yeah, everything is right there. If you want to go to sleep, there's a bed. If you want to make some ramen, there's some ramen. Or if you don't want ramen, there's spaghetti. So Katie isn't sure how Chris Bukowski is feeling. They really need a date. Enter JPJ with a date card for Crispy, and he obviously asks Katie to go with him. Katie is really excited and nervous for this date. She really likes Chris, but she's just afraid that this could be the end for them, and she really wants to leave Paradise with him. So Wells and Sydney and Christian and Luke are sitting at the bar. Sydney thinks that Katie has stronger feelings for Chris and Chris is for Katie, and then Christian says maybe he really does have strong feelings for her. He just doesn't really show it or know how to show it in the right way. Hopefully they'll get to the same place. Katie's talking to Demi, and she says that she needs something from him to figure out if he's the one that she wants to be with. Katie wants to figure out if he's serious about this and what he can bring into the relationship. They really need to have a talk before they can move forward. Katie really needs him to take initiative. Then we go to Connor, and he's really sad, and Counselor Blake goes over to comfort him, and he's just like, yeah, you know, I was really into Kaylin, and she lived with Dean, and now I just don't know what my point in being here is. We go back to Chris and Katie. They're on their date. They're at this cute little restaurant. Katie really wants to move forward in their relationship. She wants to fall in love with him, but he has walls up. She doesn't know where these walls are coming from. He admits to her that he hasn't been able to give her 100%. He says he's been in love before, but he's never been able to fully express it before. He wants to get there, and he's really trying to fight for his and Katie's relationship. They've taken 5 steps forward. Katie is willing to be patient with him because she can see where they can go and really sees some potential. So as they're talking about the future, they all of a sudden they see this wedding parade coming down the street, and it's really nice. They join the parade, they dance, and they have these sparkler fireworks in their hands. They kiss, they're having a good time. So then it's the next day, and Matt's sitting around. He admits that he didn't make out with Bree, it was just a kiss between them. So Chase decides to give him some kissing advice, and he has a pineapple, and he puts some fruit in there, he has some eyes, and then some lips. It's weird. Everyone thinks it's just kind of comical that Matt, this geeky, nerdy guy, is in a love triangle with Bree and Sydney. Especially Blake, it just blows his mind, but he hopes it works out for Matt. Then we go to Connor, and he wants to go home after the Kaylin situation. Then enters Revian. She was from Colton season. I don't remember her. She was eliminated night 1. She has a date card. Even though Matt can't remember how to say her name, she pulls him aside first, and he tells her that, yeah, I am interested in Bree and Sydney, and I just kind of want to figure it out between them. I don't want to add anybody else to the mix. So she talks to a few other guys, and they tell her about their couple situations. So then she finally pulls Connor aside, and she asks Connor on the date, and they go on their date. They are riding around on some mopeds around Mexico, and they're just having a good time. They sit down and they have some champagne, and she was really worried that he was going to be all mopey because earlier he had told her about the Kaylin situation, but no, he was really fun, and they kiss. So then we go back to Paradise Beach, and Blake and Christina are discussing the couples that are there. Christina doesn't trust Chase and Angela. She said they're moving too fast. Well, everything moves really fast in Paradise, girl. Dylan and Hannah are in love. Christina says Clay and Nicole love each other, but Blake's like, yeah, I don't know if he's there yet. Then they discuss Chris and Katie. They agree that Katie's more into it than he is. Christina is the only reason why Blake is still there. He knows it won't be easy to get into Christina's heart, but he wants to be the man to put her first no matter what. He is willing to take baby steps. Then we cut to Katie, and she's sitting down with Demi and Christian, and Katie's asking them, oh, are you gonna get engaged? And I'm like, I don't know. Are you gonna be together for a long time? I don't know. And then she said, are you gonna, and Demi's just like, this is really uncomfortable. I don't want to talk about this. And then she asks, are you gonna be together tomorrow and the next day? They're like, yeah. Then they big hug, and Demi's just really uncomfortable with it all. Demi is just really uncomfortable with physical touch out in the open, in front of people, in front of the cameras, and I think it's a 2-layered thing. So I think in general, she doesn't like physical touch with anybody, and then also the fact that, she's coming out on television with Christian, and so it's like an extra layer to that, like, uncomfortableness with her. So, Christian is very touchy-feely person, and, it's very innocent, but Demi sees her just kind of, like, pushing other girls' arms, or kind of, like, wrapping her arm around them, or touching their shoulder, and she's just really upset. She just doesn't want to look at Christian right now. And then Nicole enters, and she has a date card for Demi. And of course Demi asks Christian, even though she really doesn't want to go on the date, but she's gonna go on it because she loves her. And Demi is just really scared about being gay in front of other people. She's afraid that she won't be able to give Christian what she needs. And it's really just stressing Demi out. Demi is afraid that it's going to take her a long time to get over her anxiety about being out in public, and she's afraid that it's going to take too long for Christian, and she'll just be over it, and she won't want to be with Demi anymore. So they leave for their date. There's this man and this woman outside, and they perform this ceremony to reinforce their relationship and their connection to each other. In the ceremony, you're trying to get rid of all the negative thoughts and bring in all the positive ones. Christian's really feeling it, but she can really sense that there's something going on with Demi. Demi tells her what's been going on with her, about her getting really jealous about seeing her be touchy-feely with other girls because she thinks that, I can't be that way with Christian out in front of people, so she needs that from somebody else. And Christian doesn't see it that way. She's always just really touchy with her friends. That's how she shows people that she cares about them. It's not in a romantic way. Demi says that she's afraid that she's not enough for Christian. She's not giving her what she needs. And Christian tells her that you are enough. You are my priority. You are why I am here. Demi just makes her really happy. So they hug it out and they're really cute. So we go back to Paradise and JPJ asks Tayshia to the Paradise prom because earlier Tayshia had told JPJ that she never went to her high school prom. So they both get dressed up in formal attire and JPJ has a corsage for her. They go down to this other part of the beach. They pass by everybody else and Nicole yells out, "Save room for Jesus!" They get to their destination and there's this setup there. Has the words prom in these balloons, and there's punch, and there's crowns for the Paradise prom king and queen. There's champagne. There's a Polaroid camera for them to take cute little Polaroid pictures. And they're just enjoying themselves and having a great time. And he asks her, "Why didn't you ever go to prom?" She says, I was never asked. I was too scared to talk to boys in high school." And JPJ is just really shocked about this. Then all of a sudden, the saxophone player comes in and they're dancing, and a lot of the other couples join them on the dance floor. And so does Wells, and he's just dancing the night away with them. And JPJ says that love is knocking on his door and he can see a future with Tayshia. And then they start to swing dance, and maybe Blake can help them out with that. So then we go to Blake, and he's really excited about Christina. They've been taking things really slow, which is understandable because of their past. Blake can see a future with Christina, and he can see her being his future wife and the mother of his children. He makes a date card for her, and he gives it to her. He's like, "Hey, here's a date card. Meet me over there in 30 minutes. So he has this whole setup. He has pillows set up all around, rose petals, champagne, some little dessert snacks, or like some brownies and some other random things, but you didn't really get a close-up on it. Everyone thinks that things are going to work out with them. So Christina finally goes up to him, and they sit down, and he just tries to make sure she's comfortable. But then she tells him, "I cannot get where you need me to be. I'm sorry. Maybe you are my person, maybe you're not. I can't figure this out right now." And he's just really distraught. And so she's like, "You know what? We need to leave." So they hug it out. First Christina goes down. She tells everybody, "Yeah, I need to go." So she leaves. A little after that, he leaves, and he's just like, "Yeah, this is just like when Becca broke up with me. I have the same feeling as I did with Becca." So I don't know, maybe they can work things out in the future. They can take things extra slow without the pressure of Paradise. Who knows? Hopefully Blake won't make any more mistakes. Blake says that he has learned a lot, but at what cost? So we go to the very end of the episode, and Demi has asked Matt what he does for a living. He says that he sells placentas and umbilical cords. Sometimes they go up to 45,000, and she's really uncomfortable with that. She's like, "This is really weird. I don't know." So she's like, "I can buy a placenta from you?" And he's like, "Yeah, you can." And then he says, "Oh, speaking of which, how are you and Christian?" Speaking of which. Oh, Matt. That was episode 11. Now, let's get to episode 12. I think there's a new opening for JPJ. I'm not sure. I will confirm it in my next video. I was gonna watch the openings again, but I completely forgot before I made this video, so I'll check. But I feel like it's a new one for him. You know what? Even though I complained about Blake a lot, I missed him in the opening. It was always Hannah, Blake, Tayshia. And then I was watching it, it was just Hannah and then Tayshia. And I was like, "Oh, no Blake." And then I miss Christina's. Hers is my favorite. Spilling the tea. So it's the morning after Christina and Blake have left. Hannah is really happy that she's in a strong relationship. Haley asks Demi if she's ready to be engaged, and Demi says, "Oh, I don't know, that terrifies me." Christian tells Katie and Hannah about the things that are worrying Demi. Demi tells Tayshia and Haley about her anxiety. And Christian is really afraid to bring her problems to Demi because she's worried that she is the problem. Christian tells Demi, I barely date anybody because in the past I've given my all and they've just walked away, and I'm afraid that's going to happen again. Demi hopes that she can get past this phase in her relationship because she really wants to be engaged and married, but she's scared. Chris B enters with a date card. He wants it to be for him, but it's for Hannah, and she asks Dylan on the date. Who else would she ask? Chris and Clay think that Dana will definitely get engaged. They're like, hey, what if they get engaged at this date and the last day they get married? Possibility. I could see it happening. So they go on their date. They're at some kids' party, and it's really cute, and it looks like fun, and Dylan is playing with the kids, and she's making some food, maybe some quesadillas or something, and she feeds it to him, and he likes it. And they go and they sit by themselves, and they tell each other that they love each other. It's a possibility that he just said I love you to his future wife. And Dylan wants to shout it out to everybody in Mexico, and he says, Me llamo Hannah, which means my name is Hannah. And then Hannah says, Me llamo Dylan. And I don't know if she was just saying it as a joke, like she knows he said it wrong, because he was trying to say, I love you, Hannah. So then he fixes it and he says, Yo amo Hannah. Oh, Dylan. Here's the next part. This part is so silly, but it's cute. So Connor is waiting for Whitney to arrive in Paradise. He met her at Chris and Crystal's wedding, and they had a really nice conversation. So he's just sitting there waiting for her to come. Dee-dee-dee. He's like, if she doesn't come in the next 5 minutes, I'm going to leave. 5 minutes pass. He's like, oh, okay, I'm out. Bye, everybody. But as he's getting ready to leave, they show us Whitney, and she gets in the car, and she's like, I'm coming to Paradise. So she's in the car. He leaves Paradise in a car. They're leaving. Their cars pass each other. So then Whitney arrives in Paradise, and she's like, hey, and she has a date card, and everybody sees her. It's like, oh my gosh, what is going on? Because Connor just left because she hasn't shown up yet. So she has her date card. She reads it out, and Sydney says, hey, you know what? I think the person that you really want to speak to, Connor, just left. And Whitney's like, what? No way. And then they're like, yeah, he didn't just leave on a date. He left Paradise. So Whitney says, I'm going to go after him. So she goes and she leaves Paradise. You know, this is the shortest stay in Paradise ever. She gets in the car. She goes back to the hotel because it's probably the same hotel she came from. And she's like, yeah, I hope to see where things can go with Connor. Hope he has his shirt off. And she knocks on his door and he has his shirt off. And she's like, yeah, I came to Paradise. They told me you had just left. I had this date card. I was just hoping that we can spend some time together and get to know each other. And they do. They start talking, and they go out into the balcony and see the scenery, and they kiss, and we'll see what happens with these two. So we go back to Paradise, and JPJ and Tasha build a sandcastle and watch the sunset together. So earlier in the day, Clay got a date card, and he asks Nicole. So Nicole's waiting to leave for their date at the bar, and Wells asks her if they've dropped L-bombs yet. And she says no, but she has almost said it a few times, but she stopped herself. She's waiting for him to say it first. And tonight is pivotal for them to make progress in their relationship. And Nicole has been holding back because she feels like he's holding back. Clay knows it'll be hard for him and Nicole once they leave because he lives in Chicago, she's in Miami, but he really wants to try. She asks him if he can see them, moving in together and being in love, and he says, yeah, I can see it getting to that point. I was almost there with Angela, but we were just on different pages. She tells him that she's falling in love with him and asks him if he is too. He says that he's starting to fall in love with her, but he's not in love with her yet. And she's a little scared about that, but she's willing to stay in this relationship and fight for it. So we go back to the beach. Chris says that when he's with Katie, he's either all in or he's protecting himself and second-guessing every decision that he's making. So then we go to Tasha, and she has set up a kind of a date for her and JPJ. So she's like, hey, we need to have a serious conversation. So she brings him into this room, and you see this easel, and she's like, you need to go get changed into a Speedo. So he changes into a Speedo, and he's like, I have this denim Speedo for special occasions. So he has his denim Speedo, and she draws him like Titanic when Jack draws Rose. They're just being silly, and she draws this picture, and it's not that great, but it's not horrendous. They're just being really cute, and then they reenact the whole scene on the boat in Titanic. He's the king of the world. And Tayshia says that John makes her really happy. So Chris and Katie are kind of having an argument. Like, she's trying to ask him all these questions, but he's not really answering her. And so they go to bed, and they're just not seeing eye to eye, and she's upset, and she cries herself to sleep. So it's the next day, and it's the day of the rose ceremony. So everybody gathers together. Some of the guys say that they really need this rose ceremony to figure things out. But Chris Harrison walks in, and he says, the cocktail party has been canceled. We're going to go straight to the rose ceremony. And Matt's just really bummed because he really wanted to use this cocktail party to help him choose between Bree and Sydney. So the first person Chris Harrison calls is Luke. So Luke has a rose, and he calls Bree, and he asks if Bree will accept the rose, and she says no. So then Chris Harrison says, well, this has never happened before. Will anybody else accept Luke's rose? And nobody will. So he's like, well, you gotta go. So Luke leaves, and then Matt gives his rose to Bree. She accepts that one. Dylan gives his rose to Hannah. JPJ gives his rose to Tayshia. Chase gives his rose to Angela. Clay gives his rose to Nicole. Demi gives her rose to Christian. And lastly, Crispy gives his rose to Katie. Katie was a little worried about that one, but you're good, girl, you're good. Sydney, Revion, and Haley are sent home, and Sydney's really upset. She says this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. She puts herself out there a lot, and nothing really happens. She's losing hope that her person's out there. Don't give up, Sydney. If you want to find love, you'll find it. And it's the next day, and we see all the couples being cute, and Angela thinks all the couples left are strong. And Chris Harrison enters, and he gathers everybody together, and he says, last night was your last rose ceremony, so paradise as you know it will be changing. So I need you guys to get into your couples and have serious conversations with each other. Figure out if you're ready for the fantasy suite and for the next step. So Matt and Bree go to talk, and Matt is really excited. He's like, I just really want to leave here with Bree. And then Bree says, I think you made the wrong decision last night. You probably should have chosen Sydney. I don't understand. If she didn't accept Luke's rose, then why would she accept Matt's rose? I'm confused. I don't know. So whatever. They leave. They go their separate ways. Goodbye, Matt and Bree. And we go to Chase and Angela, and he says, yeah, I really like you, but there's something missing here. So then they go their separate ways. It's hard for Hannah to see all the couples splitting up, but she's really happy that she's in a solid relationship with Dylan. And they decide to go to the fantasy suite together, and they're super cute. Tayshia can see herself being engaged to JPJ, but she needs a lot more time, and she didn't know this was going to happen so soon, and she's really conflicted. Nicole and Clay go talk, and Nicole just really likes that Clay is always so happy to see her. She's never had that in a relationship before, and she's ready to go to the fantasy suite tonight and see where that can lead them. So JPJ pulls Tayshia aside. He can see himself spending his life with her, and he tells Tayshia that he loves her. Tayshia tells him that she cherishes the time that they've spent together, and she wants to get where he is, but she's not there yet. He thanks her for bringing some of the most magical moments to his life. So he walks away, and then Tayshia runs after him, and she says, I'm sorry, and they hug. He picks her up for a little bit, he carries her, and then he puts her down, and he says, goodbye, Tayshia. And then he leaves, gets into his car. Then a little bit after that, she leaves, gets into her car, and Nicole's really upset, seeing her best friend sad, and she's sad that she can't go hug her best friend, and I don't understand why she couldn't go say bye to her, but it's rules of the show, I don't know. As they're both driving away in their separate cars, there's a montage of all their beautiful moments together. So then we go to Christian and Demi, and Christian needs Demi to be more open and vulnerable. Christian says, if you're not 100% with yourself, how can you be 100% with somebody else? Kind of like what RuPaul says at the end of RuPaul's Drag Race. If you can't love yourself, how in the hell can you love somebody else? Can I get an amen up in here? Amen. Let the music play. Okay, sorry, wrong show. Back to Paradise. Christian needs to make sure that she's getting what she needs in this relationship. She says that she wants to be Demi's rock, but she also feels like she isn't sharing her emotions with Demi because she doesn't want to add any more stress and anxiety to what Demi is already feeling. Demi isn't always sharing with her where this anxiety is coming from, so it's building up doubts in Christian's head about how Demi feels about her. Demi is afraid that she doesn't deserve Christian because she feels like if she lets Christian all the way in, then Christian will realize that she's not as good as Demi thinks she is. Demi says that there's so much anxiety getting in her way, but she needs to step up because she needs to be what Christian deserves. Christian says that she is fortunate to be by Demi's side as she is coming out in front of all her friends and family and the world. Christian wants to know if Demi is all in because she says, I am all in, and you, Demi, you have my heart. Demi says that Christian is what she wants. She wants to keep growing and building their relationship, and they really love each other. And Demi just wants to shout from the rooftops that Christian is her girl. Katie is really scared. She's not sure this is going to be it for her and Chris. So they go and talk, and it looks like that Chris might be ending things between them. Chris is really unsure. He says that there are times that he just wanted to break up with Katie, but there were other times that he was really happy and he felt like he was on cloud 9. Katie says that she wants to be with him. He makes her really happy, but she doesn't want to pressure him. He says that he's really difficult, and the fact that she's still sitting there is just so amazing, and she's just so amazing. They decide to give this a shot, and he's willing to take risks and give this a go with Katie because he sees that there's potential for a great relationship with her. And all of the remaining couples are gathered around as Chris Harrison walks in, and he says, you know, I'm not really surprised with who's left. And this is who's left as a little reminder because this a lot just happened. Dylan and Hannah, Demi and Christian, Chris Bukowski, and Katie, and Clay and Nicole. Tonight, they really need to discuss how will they take their relationships to the real world. Are they in love? Will they be engaged? And yeah, so he says just enjoy yourselves tonight at dinner and in your fantasy suites. Hannah wants to spend forever with Dylan. Demi is excited to go to the fantasy suite with Christian. She wants to show her how much she loves her. This is a pivotal moment for Nicole. If things go well tonight, she can see herself being engaged to Clay. If this is Crispy's last time on a Bachelor show and he and Katie end up together, then that means Katie is the exception to the rule. On the season finale of Bachelor in Paradise, Clay and Nicole cry. Katie needs to know if this is real with her and Chris. Will Demi get cold feet? Can Clay commit to Nicole? Who will leave engaged? And who will leave brokenhearted? And then they have a little clip from the reunion show, and people are arguing and people are crying. And then JPJ has a question for Tayshia. And at the very end, we find out who the next Bachelor is. So at the very end, a little clip, Bree is trying to teach Matt how to model. There you have it. That was the week 6 recap. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope everyone has a wonderful day, a wonderful week, a wonderful month, a wonderful year, and a wonderful life.